Hi guys, this is Mike from the last Corvette. I'm going to do a video on programming key fobs for all C6 Corvettes. Covers 05 to 13. This is a Gen 1 key fob. It came out when they switched to a push start, and then the Gen 2 in later years was a slightly longer key fob that was utilized throughout the entire GM family of push starts, and it kept the hard key inside the fob itself, versus this is still a separate key in a separate fob, and Gen 2 has a built-in key that pops out. So the one thing that you guys should know, and this comes from a good friend of mine that works for a Chevy dealer, you can use Gen 2 fobs with your Gen 1 vehicle, meaning that if I have this fob, I can buy the built-in hard key fob and program it and use it. The only thing is, if you buy it used, you're going to have to get the key recut, or obviously buy the blank. Or if you buy it new, then you can just go to the dealer and they'll cut it for you, and then the programming still works the same way regardless if you have Gen 1 or Gen 2. In the description below, I'm going to include a link to a great website that I personally deal with, the company that is. They have pretty much all the used parts that you can name for all the Corvettes, and they also have some great instructions. And one of the instructions that they have on their website is programming the key fobs. So there are 3 different ways to program, and inside your glove box you have a little programming slot that your key fob fits in, and your key fob always goes in with your buttons facing the passenger side. So if you're sitting in the passenger side seat, the fob is going to go like this. Okay, that slot is also utilized to when in case, I should say, if your batteries die in the key fob and you can't start the car, what you do is you insert your key fob into the same slot. It energizes the chip and starts your vehicle. So, to the point, 3 ways you can program. The first way is you can actually just check to see if your programming slot works, meaning that if it's reading your key fobs. The second is adding a key fob. So in my case, I had key fob 1, 2 is missing. So when I programmed this one, this was a number 3. You can have up to 4 key fobs. And the third, they call it the long key fob programming sequence. And what that does is erases all the key fobs, and you can change the sequence, meaning that this one can become 1, this one can become 2, or vice versa. Or if you want to reposition, reprogram keys in whatever sequence you want, you can do that up to 4. So let's start with the instructions, and they are very simple. You don't even need a card, but like I said, in the description, I will add a link that pretty much just not only shows you how to do it, but in full detail with pictures, and it's written out step by step. So the first thing you do is you take a working fob, and this is just to add a fob, either add a fob for a family member, or you lost the fob and you want to add a fob. So normal car will have 2 fobs, and so in my case, when I programmed this eBay fob, it was number 3. So what you do is you unlock the car, get in the car, turn the ignition on, roll your driver's side window down, then open up your glove box, and that's just so everything is ready to, when you're actually ready to program. You don't have to, open the glove box and, and waste time. So roll the window down, open up your glove box, pop the trunk lid from the inside, or I guess you can do it from the outside, and then shut the ignition off, and then place your working key fob somewhere in your center console. It could be on your armrest or wherever else by the shifter. So just leave it in the vehicle. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your hard key, you're going to go in the back, and obviously we know that on the C6 there's only one, pretty much all Corvettes are like that. You got one key cylinder that you can pop the trunk open with, but it's also used to put the Corvette into key fob programming mode. So what you're going to do is you're going to stick that key in, and the instructions say that you have 5 seconds to turn the key 5 times. If you do it slow, which didn't work for me the first time, it's not going to work. So what you're doing is you're actually looking at the digital information center, which is the little digital readout in your dash, right? That's why they tell you to open the trunk. Not only is it, to be on the safe side, you got your window open, you got your trunk open, you can pop the door open if something goes haywire and programming, sequence stops or erases all your fobs. But it also gives you the ability to look at your gauge cluster to see if your sequence started. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the key in and you're going to turn it real quick 5 times. If you're successful, you're going to look and it's going to say you're ready for fob 3, or it's going to say you're ready for fob 4, depending on how many fobs were programmed. So if it doesn't come up with anything, it'll give you an error message. That means that somebody programmed all 4 fobs, and you're going to have to go with the long routine that is in the description, which you have to erase all the key fobs out of the Corvette's memory and then start fresh. So in this case, you're going to take your freshly bought key fob, once again with the buttons facing towards the passenger side. You're going to stick that key fob into your programming slot and just sit there and wait. And what's going to happen is when this key fob is programmed, the message will switch from key fob ready for key fob 3 to ready for key fob 4. And once it says 4, you can pull out the key fob, close the glove box, and you're done. And you can test it. You can lock, unlock. You can also now take this key fob that was sitting on the center console and put it away from the car, and then test out your new key fob by putting the foot on the brake pedal and using your push start, and it will fire right up for you. But the main test is if it locks, unlocks the car, it will also start the vehicle. And that is it. That is very easy peasy, step-by-step instructions on how to program a fob. There's several videos on how to program fobs that I found on YouTube, but they were really, I shouldn't say confusing, but they didn't really explain the bottom line, meaning that, how you do it or steps, or it was just kind of a mix of things. But that's really it in a nutshell. Super easy. I'm gonna link the description below, and it's a great website. It's Dino Salvage Parts, Corvette Parts. This is not a sponsor. It's just a great place to buy used Corvette parts. I've bought several. They always give you a fair price, great shipping, fast shipping, and honest people. So, all right, we'll catch you next time.